The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning. Welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
Welcome. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Nancy.
How about that? I love your new haircut.
Oh, thank you.
I just love it. It's fabulous. Thrilled to be here with you today because we've got a wonderful show, and we're going to let people know today. I've been promising them all week that we would let them know we have a big guest on Monday.
Okay.
So we're going to unveil that a little bit later.
Okay, great.
So I'm really excited about that. But we've got some in the news coming up first. And first of all, I just want to say both of our kids are well and truly back at school at this point.
Right.
And I know some of you aren't back at school yet, but I like it when we're back at school.
I do too.
I do. I like it when school ends, but I always like the back to school.
Right.
I love this whole time of year.
Yeah, me too.
I'm loving it. I'm already. I want to know if this would appeal to you. I'm starting to put together a list of like things to do now to get ready for all the crush that comes at the end of the year.
Right.
So the other day, because now I'm all about Amazon and Amazon Prime and the pantry. The other day, I ordered the GFCF stuff that I need for Thanksgiving that I can never find.
God, you're too prepared for me.
I mean, but I was like, why not? Because, so that, and like it takes like 10 business days for it to come.
Right.
But there's this banana bread that we're going to feature later on in the year. It's breads from Anna. I'm going to gift you one because I bought a case of it.
Great. I love banana bread. Wyatt doesn't like it, but I love it.
Oh my gosh. And it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's sugar-free. It has honey in it.
Right.
But it's the best thing
Wyatt
ever.
doesn't, I'll eat the whole thing. You know, Wyatt's on the keto diet.
Okay, well, so that...
And he's lost 10 pounds.
He looks so good. I saw a picture of him the other day, and somebody else was saying
10 pounds.
He went and all grew up.
And none of his clothes fit. We had to go buy new clothes. That his pants were hanging off of him.
Quality
and
problem.
that's because of the keto diet.
But he's
we
feeling
did that.
good, right?
Yeah, we did that because he had seizures.
Yes.
He's had 2 seizures, and the keto diet is supposed to help with
seizures.
Has,
right?
He hasn't had a seizure since.
There we go.
Yeah, the last one. So that and medication probably.
How does he feel slimmed down? Does he like it?
I think he feels great. Yeah.
What a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're fabulous. Now you need to take me in hand.
Okay.
All right. So we got some news stories. So first one, a little bit of a duh here for me, but I like how we're defined we're getting here. Kids with autism might get anxiety because they can't predict the future. Well, this sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does make sense.
That I mean, I'm somebody who suffers from anxiety. And,
as do I.
And I think a lot of times it's because I don't know what's going to happen. And apparently that's our kids too. But but there's a little bit more to it, that our kids aren't as adept at predicting the future. Apparently as. I hate using the term neurotypical, but kids who aren't dealing
on
with
the
autism.
spectrum. Yeah.
So I find that really fascinating, and maybe it's a beginning clue for us to be able to teach things to our kids in a different strategy to help with the anxiety, because the anxiety piece is. It's debilitating.
Yes.
I mean, I think I experience more anxiety than my kid does. Although he's a human being, he has anxiety.
Right.
You know, but I know people whose kids have so much anxiety that they are more what I talk about sometimes, that I can become the amazing paralyzed woman where I cannot move.
Wyatt gets like that, and so this makes sense to me because I think of all the instances of his anxiety, and it's generally because of a routine switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when we switch up routine, like today, we're trying to introduce him to short socks because he wears those long socks and
Right.
they look ridiculous.
Wow.
And so we put him in short socks and he got very upset. He's like, I'm nervous, I don't like it. It's because it's a change in his routine.
Yeah, yeah. And, I wonder if something like this can help. What it sort of makes sense to me is that what has helped me with anxiety is cognitive behavioral therapy,
Right.
CBT, which is where you take whatever the anxiety is and you change your thoughts and
Right.
the way you look at the thoughts.
Right.
So things like when you are having an anxiety-ridden moment, you say, what's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling anxious. Have I ever felt this way before? Yes, I have. Did I die from it then? No, I've never died from it before. What am I feeling anxious about?
Right.
You're sitting on a plane and you're like, I'm afraid we're going to crash. Is that a realistic fear? Well, yes, planes do crash. And then your thoughts go to, but how often?
Right.
Like 1 in 100,000 planes. So what's the likelihood that I'm on the one plane that's going to go down? And because you're talking to yourself in that sort of a rational way, by the time you're done, you're calm.
Right. Right.
You've talked yourself off the ledge. And I know that sounds like something that not every kid on the spectrum could do, but there are simpler ways of doing
Right.
it too. And I got to be honest that when I'm feeling anxious and go through that process, by the time I get through, have I ever died from this before? It already ratchets down and I'm like, no, this is just,
Okay.
and there's this whole thing about this is what it feels like to be anxious. This is okay. This is not an emergency. If there were an emergency, I would have been told what to do or where to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, interesting. And so, interesting article. I don't have the place to reference for you where we got the article from. We'll work on that.
Another story, a new study shows how autism can be measured through a nonverbal marker. This is the first of its kind, this marker.
And you can find this in Science Daily. Check it out. From Dartmouth Collegers.
Dartmouth.
I am not able to talk today. It's like a thing with me. And I did my warm-up. I don't know what problem. Yeah, Dartmouth. Great college, right?
Right.
Researchers have identified a nonverbal neural marker of autism. Isn't this interesting?
Yeah.
This marker shows that individuals with autism are slower to dampen neural activity in response to visual signals in the brain. There's literally like a switcher thing that's happening in the brain and it predicts more of this nonverbal
Right.
autism. It's the first of its kind marker. It's been found independent of intelligence.
Yeah.
Love that.
Right.
And offers an objective way to potentially diagnose autism in the future.
Which is great.
Which is very, very interesting. But so if you want to know more about that, Science Daily dated August 15th. And there's much more about it that goes more in depth. But then we had to talk about, because we didn't have the chance to talk about this last week, but everybody has been loving on Amy Schumer.
Right.
I mean, first she came out with her comedy routine, and in the middle of her comedy routine, she says, oh, by the way, my husband is apparently on the spectrum. We didn't know that before.
Right.
But as he was being diagnosed, I realized that all the things they were describing that put him on the spectrum are all the reasons why I fell in love with him.
Right.
Like, how much did we love Amy Schumer
Yes,
when she
for
said
that.
this? It was like every person that loves somebody on the autism spectrum was
Right.
like, oh, thank you, Amy. Thank you for making autism look supremely cool and
Right,
sexy.
right.
Right? And she was pregnant at the time that she did this comedy routine. And so apparently somebody asked her recently, and I don't know exactly how they worded it, but they basically wanted to know if she was worried about.
Yeah, how she'll cope if she has a
Yes.
child with autism.
Right. And she had the supreme answer of all time. You want to say what she said?
Yeah, she was, how I cope, I don't see being on the spectrum as a negative thing. My husband is my favorite person I've ever met. He's kind, hilarious, interesting, and talented, and I admire him. Am I supposed to hope my son isn't like that?
Go, Amy.
Yeah.
Go, Amy. I mean, of course, I'm sure that, there are a lot of people in the autism community are like holding their breath for her and hoping that she doesn't have some of the more significant challenges that can come with autism. But don't we need more of this attitude in the world?
Yes.
What a wonderful thing. I just love.
She went on to say, I'd be disappointed if he liked the Big Bang Theory and NASCAR, not if he has ASD.
Too funny. Okay. We're happy for her and her baby and her love and her happiness with her husband.
Yes.
And at some point, we have to find a reason to have her on the show.
I'd
and,
love to get her
like,
on the show.
Right?
Right.
And just sit and chat with her because, anyway, she's funny and now she's part of our community.
Right, right.
She's one of the tribe. All right, we have this great guest that's going to be with us in just a second here in the
Kristyn
studio.
Roth. She's Chief Marketing Officer for the Autism Society of America.
And we're going to be talking with her about this year's Aut Fest.
Okay.
That's coming up in September, on September 15th, and it's happening in Orange County. And of course, this is a film festival. Autism Live typically goes and attends the film festival.
planning
It's
to go
really
this
fun.
year?
Yes, I am planning on being there. It's just one day this year.
Okay.
It happens to be on my birthday,
Okay.
but you know, that's
What date is that?
it's September 15th.
Okay.
Which I believe is a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And so we want to talk with her because it's a little bit different this year. It's one day instead of two, and they have an overreaching theme. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and about what films they're going to be screening and what panels. They've got some amazing panels that are going to be there. So we're going to talk with her about all of that. That's
Okay,
coming
great.
up after these messages. Stick with us.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're at the ABCs and XYZs of Special Needs Conference. And this year, for the first time, they've got something really remarkable. It's the Entrepreneurial Boutique. These are all items that have been made and are being sold by individuals who have special needs. So we're going to do a little shopping and talk to some of these fabulous entrepreneurs. Come on.
My name is Molly Rarick, and I'm founder of Breed's Gift. We're a nonprofit that serves teens and adults with special needs, like Chase here. We were founded in 2013 and serve people in the Conejo Valley, Santa Barbara, and LA.
Our main objective is to give our participants the skills they need to gain a more independent life.
My name is Shelley Cox, and Lisa Zalagi and I are founders of Creative Steps and Create Micro Business Enterprises. And the items that we're selling here today are all made by the clients who have passions about what they want to make, and then they get the profits from what they make after we've paid all of the other expenses.
We are here today because my goal is to be independent, and also I would like to share all my artwork, and I would like to sell.
Thinking about at his young age being a businessman, it's amazing. I cannot be more proud.
Welcome
We're
back.
back. As promised, we have our guest, Kristyn Roth, who is now the Chief Marketing Officer of the Autism Society of America. Hi,
And
Kristyn.
For having me.
We're thrilled that you're here, and we were looking at your resume and the many things that you have on your resume, and we were a little bit, stunned and overwhelmed because you've been able to do so many things, and we were expecting somebody who looked older than you. I must be honest, right? But you are the co-founder of Makewaves, that supports organizations focused on equal employment opportunities, replicable housing models, and social engagement programs that allow autistic individuals to achieve happy quality and lifestyle. You're the president of the Roth Family Foundation, which focuses on improving the quality of lives for individuals with neurological and physical challenges. But that's not even all, but that in and of itself is pretty amazing. And now you're stepping into this new role and making waves, not to put too fine of a point on it. So thank you for being in our community. Thank you for being so involved and being a force for good. And we're excited that you're in this role at Autism Society of America and all the things you're going to do there. One of the reasons why we asked you to come on was to talk about AutFest, and we're going to do more shows as it comes up closer. But tell us what AutFest is like this year.
Yes. So AutFest Film Festival is hosted by Autism Society. It's our third annual. This year we have a one-day format as opposed to previous years, which was two. It's on September 15th, 2019 at AMC Orange 30 in Orange, California. And I'm really excited because this year we're focusing on autism and the sibling dynamic, and we're really focused on exploring that relationship as well as autism in the whole entire family unit as well. So all of our films will be dedicated to different talking points and experiences within that topic, and there will be a sibling point that makes its way throughout every feature.
Was this something you come from naturally because you have a brother on the spectrum who inspires you to do the work you're doing?
Yes. So my brother and I, he's a year younger than I am.
Okay.
We've been very close my whole life. He is my reason for being involved in all aspects of this work, and he's just inspired me every single day. He right now he actually just moved to a different city to go through a independent living transition program, and we're so proud of him and excited for the future. And he's really just proven he's capable of so much, and we want to support him in every way possible to succeed.
I have this theory that people who are siblings of people on the autism spectrum are the best people on earth. Honestly, because they know and appreciate these wonderful people. They understand what it is to sometimes look at something and go, right now it needs to be about me, and right now it doesn't need to be about me. They have the biggest heart. Honestly, whenever I meet somebody who identifies themselves as a sibling, and I don't think it's just autism.
Right.
I think it's, you know,
You need to
you're
I
a
grew
sibling.
up with the brother with Down syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I have this theory that is that shapes people up to be the most incredible people. You're living up to my supposition here. So tell us a little bit about, have the films been chosen yet for AutFest, or can people still apply? What's the process at this point?
So the films have already been chosen for 2019. Each year we open up for submissions, and anyone can apply and submit their film. So we'll go through a screening process. We have an AutFest film committee that views all the films and votes on their favorites and making sure they're tying into our theme. So you can actually see the schedule of films that will be featured at our website, autfestasa.com. And we have a really great variety of feature films as well as shorts and independents. So I'm really excited about the lineup this year.
I gotta say, one of my favorite films last year was a short film that was about, from the point of view of a sibling, and it was just like, had us all on the floor. We loved it so much. So
yeah, I think what's really important too is that we're showing not only different angles of the spectrum, but also different experiences and upbringings. And I think we have a really good, diverse character group that's going to be displayed. So I'm really excited about a couple.
tell us, which ones are you excited about? Yeah.
I am really excited about Duke, which is a short, and I think it's about 16 minutes. It's about an individual who is nonverbal, and the story of his mother really advocating for him in the school system to get services and support, and his ability to find his own voice.
Okay.
So it's really powerful. Some other films we have featured this year are White Frog, Life Animated, Everything's Gonna Be Okay, which is through Freeform, and that's a new show that's coming in later this year. So a lot of great stuff on the agenda.
I can't wait to see all this. It's going to be
Yes.
really exciting. And then you've got a couple of panels too, where people can be there for talk back with some of the people in the films.
Yeah.
Yeah. And siblings. You're doing a sibling panel
Yes.
where it will be people who aren't necessarily featured in the film but have experience with this. Will you be one of the people on the panel talking about being a sibling?
I will. So we have two panels. The first is the sibling panel, as you mentioned, and we're really going to be talking about what it means to be a sibling of someone with autism. And then the second panel will feature some actors and writers and directors from some of the films that we're showcasing, and talk about character development, the research that went into writing these scripts, and really being authentic for our community.
What do you think is the thing that you have gotten the most out of that has helped you in your life by being a sibling?
There's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother has made me a better person, hands down. He's taught me empathy and how to really look at things with a different perspective and be appreciative of everything. But I think what has really helped me as I've gotten older is having a network of other siblings that I can reach out to and ask questions, and really have honest conversations with that might not feel right to talk to a parent about it, or even a best friend who may not be able to relate. So having that network of support, even if you don't necessarily know that person very well, you have such a unique bond that you're able to really connect on another level.
I'm curious, how did you get in contact with those people? Was it through Autism Society that you found those other people?
So a couple different places, but for me, that was part of what I wanted to really focus on through Make Waves, was exploring the sibling relationship and kind of creating this online community that people can tap into and share their own stories and reach out to. I also have met people through events through conferences and, of course, Autism Society. We have a really diverse staff in-house, and a lot of us are actually siblings or individuals on the spectrum. So it's been really fun to not only connect and work with these people, but also be able to ask questions and relate in that way as well.
What are some of the experiences that you've been through with your brother that have helped you in terms of just dealing with life?
That's a good question. So I think there's a couple stories that come to mind. I'll try to be brief, but whenever we travel somewhere, whether it's for work or events like this or family vacations growing up, my brother always made a lasting impression on people.
Right.
And one story that comes to mind is when we were traveling, we walked on the plane and this flight attendant turned around and goes, "Derek, oh my gosh, how are you? It's so great to see you." And, he's being, catered to the entire flight. And I overheard her say to another flight attendant, "Derek has flown this route before. He makes my week." And that was such a powerful moment to overhear. And for me, it was such a reminder that everyone has the ability to make an impact in the world around them, in their community, in their society, and they just need the right support and opportunity to do so.
Right.
And that's something that I think has been with me my whole life, but something that really stood out as I got older and wanted to work in this community to help make that difference.
That's wonderful. So you got me all choked up. I'm just like, ah. But now you're in this new role with Autism Society, and how new of a role is this for you?
2.5 months, 3 months.
So
yeah.
very new.
Yeah.
But what are you excited about? What are the projects that you're like, this is how I want to put my mark on this and help autism and the Autism Society of America?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting opportunity for me and busy couple months getting started here. But I think what's amazing is the impact that the Autism Society has. We have 79 affiliates across the country that really tap into the local market at, the community and state level, and they're executing our mission and vision so that we can reach more people. And we are really looking to create that unified voice across our network, and that's where I come in as marketing and communications, is how can we effectively tell our story and make sure that, all of these people that we're helping every year are, lifted up and supported, and people can recognize that. So part of my upcoming task is really furthering our brand development and our brand voice. Last year alone, we helped over 620,000 individuals across the country, which is a staggering number. And we're really working just towards providing more advocacy, education materials and resources, and supporting as many people as possible.
Well, you're like in fact, the oldest organization
Yes.
For autism, and I think the biggest in terms of members as well. But a lot of times you guys are the unsung hero of the piece, right? A lot of other organizations get a lot more attention. But so now you're coming into this role, you can try to flip that script a little bit. I wish you great luck in that, because it is an amazing organization doing amazing things. I've only been to a couple of the conferences, but I always say to people, if you want to meet people who are on the autism spectrum, the place where more self-advocates and individuals who are on the spectrum are than any place I've ever been are at an Autism Society of America conference. There are more voices heard at those conferences. There's the parents,
Right.
and then there's the people who are treating, and I've seen educators there, and of course the people who are themselves on the spectrum. And we all know, they have to be the largest voice in this, right? But I truly see that at the Autism Society of America.
Yeah.
Tell us how people can find out more about AutFest.
Yes, so you can go to the website, autfestasa.com. We have our schedule of events, of films being featured, our panel information, and a link to buy tickets.
Okay, sounds good.
What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go to a break and then come back and maybe give you a couple of minutes to talk about your other organization, Make Waves, and tell a little bit more about that.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back after these messages.
Can you say hello? Say hello.
AJ?
Stop crying.
AJ, let's eat. Can you eat, AJ? Let's eat, son. Have a fry. My understanding of autism was very limited.
He would lick tires on cars, windows, you name it. And so we went to the 13-month checkup, and I remember our pediatrician, he said, well, he probably has autism. There's nothing you can do about it. Come back in a year when he's 3.
Our initial understanding of what the ABA program was basically all we picked up from this clinic in San Antonio.
He didn't pick up any signs the entire 8 months that he was there. I think the difference came when we changed vendors.
We were very impressed with the way that CARD actually gathered data to be able to quantify the progress that he was making. They have a curriculum that they follow that's tailored to each child. They were identifying AJ's strengths and weaknesses.
We were finally starting to see real progress.
Good, AJ. Here's eggs.
The first thing CARD did for us was, I remember the first time AJ said, "Mommy, I want you." And that was the most wonderful thing ever. There's hope.
Yeah,
That's when I knew that there was hope. I never thought that AJ would be able to say that. It was like a gift from God. It was so fantastic.
With CARD, we got him enrolled in a private school.
And he was in a typical classroom. He would go from activity to activity. He could sit when he was supposed to sit. He could be around typical kids. The goal is for CARD to work themselves out of a job. It's for AJ to be in a mainstream classroom with no help, and he's functional and he's learning. We're really grateful to all of the therapists. AJ would not be where he is without them, and we will never be able to repay the part of themselves that they gave to him to make his life better and to make our lives better.
And we are back now with Kristyn Roth, who is now the Chief Marketing Officer of the Autism Society of America. And she's been filling us in on AutFest and what's going to be coming up there. And we wanted to talk a little bit about your co-founder of Make Waves, which is another nonprofit. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and what the goals of that organization are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started it a couple of years ago, and it actually started off as a standalone fundraising campaign for Autism Awareness Month. And it quickly snowballed, and I realized that a lot of millennials wanted to get involved in something, and they just didn't know how. So I worked to turn it into a true nonprofit,
right,
and focused on events, advocacy, and our main mission is to support organizations that are creating replicable housing and employment programs, primarily for individuals on the spectrum. And we want to support people that are doing it right. We don't want to recreate the wheel, so we're not doing it ourselves, but we're identifying companies or organizations throughout the country that are really focused on addressing this major issue.
And have you found there are a lot of such organizations, or is there a shortage of them?
There's definitely a shortage. We all know all the horrible statistics of statewide waiting lists for housing, and even finding a good one and finding one that's local. I think that's the biggest thing, is there aren't a lot of options. There are some companies and organizations that are really doing a great job, and I think it's just figuring out, how do we scale this? How do we make it more accessible and affordable in different communities across the country? And so we're, constantly traveling and doing site visits and meeting with people who are working towards that goal.
Wonderful. And so do these organizations apply for a grant? Is that what happens, or how does the interface happen?
So we have, in the past, because we're still fairly new, we haven't set up a formal grant application process. It's more been one-to-one vetting and kind of going through the process with the team internally. But we've set up scholarships in the past for individuals to attend, independent living transition programs. We have an ongoing scholarship each year with first place in Phoenix, Arizona. And we also have identified other places across the country that have employment programs or, again, independent living skills that they're dedicated to.
And this is something that you have a personal connection to, again, because of your brother, right? Isn't he transitioning to housing?
Yes. So he moved out of my parents' house about 3 years ago, and he was getting some independent living skills, but now he's in a program that will really teach him a formal curriculum that will allow him to hopefully live on his own in whatever city he chooses. He has had a steady job since he graduated high school and went to community college, and he has been working, but I fear that in past jobs he's definitely been underemployed, and it's helping him build primarily communication skills and advocacy skills for him to be able to figure out what he wants to do.
Wonderful. Okay. And where can people find more information about Make Waves?
They can visit our website, makewaves.blue, and we have some great sibling content up there, a sibling series video, and information on some of the organizations that we've supported throughout the years.
Wonderful.
Great.
And so in your new role at Autism Society of America, coming from this point of view, from this perspective as a sibling, already AuTFest is going to center on this topic for this year. Can we expect to see some more programs and support for siblings to be able to better be cohesive with their siblings? And I would imagine, as a sibling, that part of the stress as an adult would be worrying about what does the rest of their life look like, and how much support do they need from me, and how much of that is financial, and how much of that is time.
Right.
I mean, your friends who don't have siblings that have to deal with that, they're not thinking in terms of that, but I would imagine that takes up some disk space for you.
Yeah, and I think it's important for me to recognize this is my experience. Yeah. So I can only speak to my own knowledge, and it's very much my normal. So this is all I know, this is all I've grown up with, but I think there is that overall realization for siblings that you're trying to figure out your own life and how to be an adult and figure out what your career path is, what you want to do, and you want the same things for your brother or sister, and it's how can you accept that responsibility and move forward with it, and also still be that sibling. It's kind of balancing that sibling and parent aspect of the relationship. So.
Is this something that your parents have talked with you about? Because I know siblings who say, that at some point there was a conversation about when we're gone, it will be your expectation to either do this or not do this. Have you guys had that conversation?
So I actually asked my mom this recently because I don't remember having a serious sit-down conversation, about my responsibilities as a sibling. But she said that at a very early age, they were always open and honest and kept me in the loop about my brother Derek and everything that we wanted for him and his life. So she said that I accepted it at a very early age. And I'm very fortunate that I grew up in such an open and supportive, loving family. So I don't know how my parents did it all. I definitely give them a lot of credit. But it was something that I was just always knew about and accepted. And I think that really helped form my opinion and involvement throughout his life because it was something that we always discussed. It wasn't something that was hidden or ignored or, you know, saved till
or
later.
stigmatized even, it sounds like.
Right. I mean, it was the early 90s where, you know, we didn't really use the word autism back then. You know, it was more special needs. And then as we, as our community and the parents at that time really brought it to light in a mainstream way, which is amazing. But I always knew that he had special needs and that that was fine. It didn't make me love him any more or any less. I loved him as much as possible, regardless. So,
which is a great gift for him. I'm sure your parents are very proud of you because you're a very good sibling. Let's go over some of the websites again so that people know where to get information. So if they just want to know more about the Autism Society of America, where should they go?
So autism-society.org. We have amazing resources, information and support services. Anything that you can think of, you can find on our website.
Wonderful.
And then for Autfest Film Festival, autfestasa.com has all of the schedule, ticket information. And lastly, for myself, makewaves.blue.
Okay. And when people are coming to the Autfest, I imagine, is it the same thing where they can buy a ticket to one movie or they can buy a ticket to be able to see all the movies? It's like that?
So it's actually just one ticket, and it's right now our early bird ticket special is $10 for the entire day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What
So
a great deal.
We
Great
really
deal.
wanted everyone who was close and wanted to come have the opportunity to come.
All right, but that's for right now early bird, so it could go up, so get your tickets now, and that's on September 15th.
Yep.
Right around the corner.
Yes, and I will be there. So thank you so much for being
Yes,
here.
Kristyn, thank you. You're a remarkable young woman.
Yes, thrilled to see all the things that you're going to do. We're looking forward to it. All right, you guys, we're going to be back in just a minute, so stick with us.
What is autism? What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to, just,
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
It's always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love. The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these three words. There is hope.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself sometimes, why does my child have meltdowns? Well, the difference between tantrums and meltdowns, they're a part of typical development, but meltdowns are when things get a little bit more out of control, when even the child isn't sure what's entirely wrong. Generally with a meltdown, there's an environmental component. There's something else going on outside the child that's making the tantrum worse. It's really important that we start to be detectives and take notes and look around at the environment and start to figure out what are the things that happen every time your child has a meltdown. And lastly, it's important to get help. You really can't face these kinds of things effectively completely on your own. Tantrums, they're a part of typical development, but don't accept meltdowns as something that just happens. Make sure you get help and support. You might be asking yourself if your child has autism.
Inclusion is everything. Feeling like we have a place where we belong, and when I say we, I'm first and foremost a mother of a child on the spectrum and gym owner and now founder of carrying this to families who need it as well.
My son is extremely hyperactive. Getting him to calm down is a very difficult task. So the idea of Rock the Spectrum Gym, where he could just go and run and play and do all these fun things without any kind of worries and just go, go, go and bring down that energy, it helps us so much at home. You know, in the home or at school, it's not acceptable, but this is the one place it is acceptable for the child to kind of be themselves and get it all out there and just really just be themselves.
It's an amazing place where my son could go and be himself. You get to meet other parents who are in the same journey as you are.
I think the most popular aspect of it is how they include all children of all types, not just only learning disabled, lower functioning, moderate functioning, high functioning, and non-disabled.
The people there are so friendly. Everybody's like family. They always greet you with a smile. There's not one negative thing I could say about any of the employees. They're all absolutely amazing. So I think every parent should walk in through those doors and see what an amazing gym it is.
Now a diagnosis being 1 out of 6 kids are in some way or form affected with sensory processing disorder or autism. That's why We Rock Now is on the rise. People want to be a part of it. People know that they have a community there. They know that they can learn more information about things that they don't know themselves or that they can share, build friendships, and basically get what you get in an OT facility, but it's not $150 an hour. It's $12.
Welcome back. We were just chatting about different things, and you caught us.
Yes. If you only could see half of what happens backstage here. But so far, what an amazing young woman.
Yes, she really is.
And both of us were sort of stunned when she came in because having read everything about her.
We were expecting at least middle-age.
We were expecting somebody our age. Come on, let's be honest. And
then
to have this young, vibrant young woman who's so passionate, it just gives me hope.
It does,
right?
I know,
that already the next generation, and she's 2 generations from us. Let's not kid ourselves. They're picking up the mantle,
right?
And doing
advocacy
and doing things that we can't even imagine. So that's a great thing. We were going to talk about some of the people that we're having on the show next week, and I promised that I was going to do the big reveal of.
When did you intend on doing that?
Well, right now. Let's do the big reveal about who is going to be on the show on Monday.
Fabulous guests.
So on Monday, we've been told, and we promise things, but then I don't know. All things. If the stars align, we are having Joe Mantegna here on the show. For the first time.
Dad.
Yeah, and
first time he's ever been on the show?
Well, we've interviewed him.
Right, on the red carpet. He's come to Denim and Diamonds.
He actually was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the first person I ever interviewed on, even before we were doing Autism Live, on Skills Live. And it was the day that you and I really met and talked for the first time, because you were doing a golf tournament.
Right.
And he was the host of the golf tournament. And we did a live feed. It was the first thing that we ever did, but we were considered Skills Live then, from this golf beautiful location.
North Ranch Country Club.
And so I believe he's the first ever guest that I interviewed in this sort of format on a live, but he's never been in the studio.
Okay.
And we've talked to him on the red carpet many times.
Right.
He's a wonderful human being.
Right. He really is.
And a great autism dad.
He has a daughter, Mia, who's on the autism spectrum.
And he's just a great advocate, too. I mean, obviously, he is very passionate about our military folks, our men and women in uniform.
He did a PSA for us on for our Active Day for Military Families program. He was sort of the spokesperson for that for many years.
And he does that both for the autism community, and aside from that, he usually does the Memorial Day concert on the mall.
With Gary Sinise.
Yes, and you know, a true patriot.
Right.
You know, somebody who tries to give back to those specific things. So what a perfect fit, being able to give to ACT for their military family initiative, which is autism families dealing with military families dealing with autism. But so he is going to be here with us with a host of other people because there is a play that's called Self-Injurious Behavior
And it's been in New York.
Yes, it's been in New York. It did a 12-performance run in New York, and that benefited a couple of different charities, including Autism Works Now.
Okay.
And it is coming to Los Angeles in September for another short run. And so Joe is an amazing actor, writer, director, and is helping to produce this play. He feels that it's very important for people to see it, and so he has put his voice behind it. So on the show, we're going to have Bren Rapp, who is the producer of the play, Joe. We're going to have Jessica Kavanaugh, who I believe is the lead actress in the play.
Does she play a woman on the spectrum?
I believe she plays a parent, but I'm not 100% positive about that, and we'll find all that out on Monday. But Joanne Lara, we're also hoping will be joining us because the entire process of this play is also going to benefit Autism Works Now and Autism Movement Therapy. So, and you know, she and Joe have been in, you know, close contact over the years, been friends, and do a lot of things together. So we're hoping that's we're going to have a full studio on Monday with those people, but really excited about it. Then on Tuesday we will do another best of. I just love how you guys have responded so well to our best of series, and a lot of times we play our Temple Grandin interviews. And my favorite, I mean, I've gotten to interview Temple many times now, and I will say that my favorite time interviewing her is the one of us in the car, which I thoroughly, because it was nothing about autism. And I just absolutely love that. But my favorite interview ever, including mine, of anyone interviewing Temple about autism is yours.
Oh, well, thank
the one
you.
that you did. And I think a lot of people respond that well to it because it's a really great interview that Nancy did. I don't think that Tuesday we're showing Temple because we just showed them, but we had so many people watching this last Tuesday. But you know, it's a great opportunity for us. We've reached the point now in the show as we are coming up on our 9th anniversary of doing Autism Live. And
that's hard to believe.
I know, right? Like, where does the time go? But we've done a lot of interviews. I mean, we've put out a lot of content. We've done a lot of interviews that were really good that only played once.
Right.
And then people find them on YouTube, and that's great. But to give you guys an opportunity to not go through our whole channel and look for all the stellar interviews. So that's what Tuesdays are about. Tuesdays are all about best of. And then on Wednesday, we have Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh back to answer your questions. On Thursday, we have autism expert Hitomi Wada. Amazing. And then on Friday, we're having next week, a week from today, we're having back Carrie Fenster.
Okay.
But because somebody wrote into us and said that they play in a separate band with Carrie, and they said, you know, can we come back on the show to show the whole band?
Okay,
so we're having
great.
the whole band
Oh,
here.
fun. That's going to be fun.
And one of them identifies as being on the spectrum.
Okay,
so
good.
that'll be super duper fun
Good.
next week. We've got a couple of amazing shows coming up for us. And then it's not that long. I mean, I know everybody's like, why are you already in Christmas mode? But because we have to plan the shows. And because we're in the process right now of we're about to pick winners for our toy guide.
Oh my gosh. That's
Well, you
what-
have to
I know.
because we have to put that out on November 1st. And
Okay.
so, you know, I mean, you have
So
to
what
be
do
doing
people
that in
need to
August.
do?
Well, very soon we're going to be sending you guys out a survey that we want you to answer about the toy guide. And we really relish any opinion that you have. There's several different categories and one of them is the parent recommended toy that we like to have parents recommend and say, this toy helped my child because it might be the silliest thing, the silliest toy, and it doesn't have to be a new toy because we have one whole category that's just oldies but goodies, like a Slinky. We featured a Slinky before because you can do a lot of things with a Slinky. I mean, if a toy is good, it's good. So don't be afraid to put in something that isn't necessarily this year's hot toy. But we love to hear what helped because what helped your child may help somebody else's child and it may not have occurred to them. I mean, I know the first year that Jem was diagnosed and they told us to get one of those peg boards. And I was like, this is the most ridiculous toy on the face of the planet. And then I saw all the things that they were able to teach him on a pegboard. And I went, that's the most incredible toy there is. But I wouldn't have known if somebody else hadn't recommended it. So if there's a toy that helped you or your child, please sign up for our news. You subscribe, and normally you get our newsletter, which we call it the postcard. It just gives you the viewer guide for the week, and then occasionally you get something extra, and you'll get the survey next week. So that's what is happening next week. So anything else that we wanted to share about anything else going on?
Well, we've got Denim and Diamonds coming up in October 6th, which is our gala.
That's soon too.
It's very soon.
And I heard a little rumor that one of the people who's being honored is my good friend Nancy Jackson.
Yeah, well, that's what the board decided to do. So.
And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Well,
I think it's high time that happened because you have been...
It's a Lifetime Achievement Award or something like that.
Well, and you have... the only thing about Lifetime Achievement things, I always worry that people think, oh, well, now you're done, and we all know you're not done. But you have... I mean, when you think about how many grants you made possible for families, Nancy, don't get me crying.
Okay.
But no, it's a thing that's time has come.
Okay,
You should have been honored before, but I'm glad that you're doing now. Do you know who the other honorees are?
Yes, we have Erin Murphy Dunkel, Erin Murphy, who used to play Tabitha on Bewitched when she was
We have to get her to come on.
We do.
We always say that we're going to do that, and then we don't.
She's an autism mom.
She's amazing.
An activist.
I always want to do this to her.
An
whenever I see
advocate.
her.
We're also honoring Dr. Grant Bichet.
Wonderful.
With the Visionary Award. So
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that whole panel.
Okay,
That's pretty awesome. So what is the date for that again?
October 6th, which is a Sunday.
All right, I gotta make sure that's on my
Get you on the red carpet again.
Yeah, very fun. Last year there was like a reunion of the West Wing. On the red carpet. Which was super fun.
We were honoring Richard Schiff.
And I'm trying to think, well, obviously Gary Cole was there. And Dule Hill was there.
Dule Hill, Martin
Sheen. So you just needed Alice and Janney and Bradley Whitford, and you have the West Wing.
We had a great
And could we put Jimmy Smits in there too?
Yeah, I hope
I always had a little crush on Jimmy Smits. Anyway, all right, we digress greatly. But we want to thank you guys for being here with us, and we'd love to have your suggestions for our Halloween costumes. We're taking suggestions.
Yes, we are.
In fact, we're having a short meeting right after this to talk about suggestions, but if there's something you would like to see.
Do you have some ideas?
I have a couple of ideas, but I'm a little frightened by one of my ideas.
All right.
Because it would require us to do a little research, and I don't know if I have the time.
Okay.
But we'll, now, how cryptic was that? Anyway, we want to give a big shout out for all of you. If you're getting your kids ready for starting school, or if you've just started school, give yourself some sort of a treat for having gotten through that hoop.
Definitely,
right?
It's a big thing.
What's your big treat? What's a treat for you as a mom?
A treat?
Yeah, like something that you do for yourself to help take care of yourself.
I have a hard time thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, and I would have a hard time about that too.
Yeah.
But if you were going to do something today just to take care of Nancy.
I might go get one of those massages at the foot spas where they give you shiatsu and
that sounds
I might do something like that.
See, for me, it's usually finding time to do a craft project. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
I need to take more care of me
yourself,
instead of just finding time to have a hobby.
Right.
But whatever. And in any case, I digress greatly, but we appreciate you guys being here with us, and we love to hear your thoughts and your comments and your concerns, so be writing into us. We will be back on Monday with Joe Montaigne, which will be very exciting. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.